Happy Wednesday, and thank you so much for joining us. It is wonderful to be here with you. I know that Greg has some pretty juicy news sharing with us in just a moment, but I'm going to be starting you off with business finance. We have so much to talk about today's market, and of course, you are our friend here. We are so excited to have you, and we're going to encourage you to share and engage and share positivity, and let us know if you have questions and comments. Don't be shy. That's why we're here. We love to see your comments coming in. That's why we're live. And a big welcome, of course, to In the Loop with Winnie and Greg. For those of you who aren't familiar with me, I'm Winnie's son, longtime financial pro, CNBC council member, and Forbes contributor, and host, of course, of Level Up, which can also be found on NASDAQ and a few other platforms. Welcome. Happy Wednesday. And of course, Greg, how is your day going? It's been crazy here.
It's been a little nuts here. I mean, there's a lot going on, obviously, all the time, but I am very happy to be here right now. And yeah, hi, everybody. Thanks for joining in. This is The Loop. I'm Greg, in case you don't know, longtime tech reporter covering all kinds of different things. And I do have some news for us today, kind of looking towards the future of things, some things you can even get now that are pretty cool. So we've got some exciting stuff coming up that we're going to talk about. But since we are live, love to see comments, questions, whatever you want to talk about, share the show, let us know. We can see the comments pop up there on the screen as well whenever you're watching. So we always enjoy that. It's always just so great to be here. And I know we always start the show off with Winnie filling us in on what's going on in the world, in the news. And this is breaking news since we're live at 1 p.m. Pacific. I mean, we have the latest news for the market. I know Winnie gets and takes care of that. So I'm always looking forward to at least knowing what's going on. And Winnie, I'm not sure if it's good news or bad news, but
well, Greg, that's why I'm here. I'm here to deliver it to you for sure, because I want to make sure you keep on top of things. And I'm so glad that you said, sometimes we just don't want to look at what's happening with the financial market. And I want to say that if you are the type of person that gets nervous, that gets stressed when the market drops dramatically, today is probably one of those days where it's okay, take a breather, go out for a jog, go and call your buddy, call your mom. But probably a good day to turn off the financial news for the day. So I'm going to tell you what's happening. But before I do that, Greg, let's say hello to some of our friends, right? We definitely want to say hello to Joshua CrossX Fighter joining us for YouTube Live. Hello. It's great to have you here. Vicky Garvey, we love having you here. Facebook Live. Brigetti, so great to have you back. Coming from Cape Town.
Cape Town, wow.
Woo-hoo.
Nice. Yeah, very excited. Yeah, thanks everybody for coming in there and saying hello.
I know, really it's cool. Almost like we're all together, right, Greg? And although we're in separate places. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. It's bringing everybody together on the internet.
It's bringing together and having that peace and happiness. And now we're going to talk about the financial news. All right. Everybody relax, breathe, grab your beverage of choice if you need to. But let's talk about how the market closed. Unfortunately, it's kind of a difficult day. You know how when your kid brings home a report card and they're really nervous about how they're going to share the news with you? Well, I kind of feel that way a little bit. But the Dow closed down, believe it or not, my friends, 1,161 points. I know, it's crazy. NASDAQ down 566 points. Oh, so painful, especially those of you who are invested in technology and biotech and healthcare. That definitely hurt. S&P 500 also down 164 points. So you might be saying, well, what's happening? Well, why don't we create a list here? There's so many things that continue to happen. Of course, we're continuing to be concerned about things such as inflation. But one big part of news that came out actually yesterday after the market closed was, in fact, that Target, Target, the red happy, Target, a lot of people shop there, and a lot of people really like Target. In fact, a lot of people that I know actually call it Target because they call it like the fancy version of Target. Well, Target, unfortunately, definitely had a big tumble today because unfortunately what they're saying is due to higher costs and because of higher compensation that they have to pay their employees, unfortunately people are just spending less money, right? They're seeing inflation costs continue to be higher, and Target and companies like that really depend on us to make those sort of extra purchases, right? Those sort of discretionary purchases that maybe we don't really need, like a brand new TV. I don't know, Greg might need a brand new TV, but many of us don't need it, but we would maybe buy it because it was on sale or looked really shiny, it had new technology. Well, unfortunately, because of inflationary costs, a lot of people across the globe aren't making those purchases. So they're definitely seeing impact to their business. Now, couple that news with, of course, what's happening in with NATO as well. This was actually reported today. This was big news. This is also having impact on the financial markets as well. If you remember, just in December, right? At that time, Ukraine was interested in joining NATO, and the Russian president, Putin, said, absolutely, you can't do that, which now led to this terrible tragedy of a war happening on Ukraine soil. Well, as of today, there was an announcement that both Finland and Sweden have formally submitted membership applications in Brussels, in fact, early this morning, which stops, if you think about it, they've always been sort of neutral countries. And now they're saying, absolutely, we want in on NATO. They're seeing a lot of positivity in terms of the other NATO countries saying, absolutely, we welcome you here into this alliance. And they're saying that this actually could take quite a few months to be able to be ratified by NATO, because NATO has currently 30 members. Currently, Turkey is saying they feel like this is not a good thing. They're actually threatening to block it. But now I guess there's been more discussions, and Turkey isn't completely opposed to this, but they do want to see some changes before these two other countries are allowed into NATO. Now, the reason why this is very troubling and why investors are getting nervous about this is, if you saw earlier today, there was a White House briefing on this particular topic, is because, Russia has said that if this does take place, that they could escalate what they define as, this could be even scarier. So a lot of talk now has been around nuclear war. That has actually been announced today in the White House briefing. And so investors don't like that uncertainty. That it makes them very, very nervous. And so you're seeing a lot of that trickle into the financial markets as well. And of course, more news that came yesterday. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell talked about continued pressures coming from inflation, and that we would probably have to have continuous 0.5% increases on interest rates until inflation got closer to 2%, which is sort of a healthy level. But Fed Chairman Jerome Powell also said yesterday that if that were to take place, and that's the plan that the Fed wants to take place, then that could possibly, potentially, probably also negatively impact the unemployment numbers here in the United States, which have historically been pretty good right now. Unemployment numbers right now, historical good, healthy levels. That actually could change. Now, on other news, though, it's just like I feel like there's, I don't know, Greg, in financial news, it almost feels like a soap opera right now, because other thing that I know you and I have talked about briefly a little bit, but I think we need to talk about this. I call it the Twitter diaries. What's happening, with Elon Musk? Because I sat back and I was talking to some colleagues about this, strictly from a financial standpoint, right? We're not going to go political here, but strictly from a financial standpoint, if you think about it, Donald Trump was sort of the biggest influencer on Twitter for the longest time. Of course, Donald Trump is no longer on Twitter, but I think right now, the biggest influencer on Twitter, believe it or not, is Elon Musk, and what he is saying currently about his decision whether or not he's going to continue to acquire Twitter. Now, if you remember, Elon Musk is kind of an interesting guy. I mean, we're hearing right now, right, the Johnny Depp, Amber Heard trials is going on. It's like it's like the new reality TV going on, court TV. Well, I guess Amber Heard had, this was her temporary boyfriend was Elon Musk. He's also the world's richest man, father of 8 children. If you didn't know that, I thought that was an interesting fact as well. The question is, though, whether or not he's going to go ahead and own Twitter. So a lot of financial analysts are saying that they do think that he is in fact still interested in acquiring Twitter. He's talking a lot about spam bots and fake users and whatnot. But they're saying this is sort of like a negotiating tactic. They think it's a negotiating tactic to get the price of buying Twitter, acquiring Twitter, to be at much lower levels. I don't know, Greg. I would love to get your take from a technology standpoint. What do you think about all this?
Yeah, I mean, Elon Musk, I will say Elon Musk was a lot more fun when he just sent things into space and made cool cars. But this is the world that we live in right now. And I think what he's doing is, I mean, obviously he's got the ability to buy this. I think this negotiating tactic or whatever it is with the spam bot issue that he's putting out there, it feels to me like this is a negotiating tactic that may be a more financial side of things on that end. Obviously, there's always been spam bots on Twitter. How many that is, hard to say. I think Twitter reported there was 5% or less, and he's saying it's a lot more than that. I don't know what the right answer is, but I would think if Twitter said that would be, they'd be under under a lot of pressure or a lot of trouble if that was not true. So we'll have to find out there. But just the things that he's posting, it does make, I mean, it's already a world that's pretty unstable. And I feel like, he's really kind of doing that on Twitter too, with a lot of the things that he's posting. It's his right to post that. He can say whatever he wants, but he is the richest person in the world. And he is about, in theory, going to control one of the biggest social media platforms. You'd like a little bit more, just something a little more stable, at least in some of the statements he's making, but that's not Elon Musk. This is just what we're going to get, and you never know what he's going to say. So I wish it was a little bit different, but this is what he's going to do, and this is how it's going to be. It's very confusing, where he's going to go, and all of a sudden all these like very stark political statements that he's making, and picking sides and saying all this stuff. He's sounding very much like a pundit, and it's just not what I think a lot of people would like to see, but he's got a lot of fans out there too. I mean, 80 million followers, presumably most of them are not spam bots that are out there. So, it's just such a crazy time right now. And I feel like over the next couple of months, as we see this, shake out, whether he's actually trying to back out of the deal or whether he's trying to force a lower price, which may be the issue. It's just so much to figure out of what's going on.
It's so much to figure out. Absolutely great. And today, Twitter management came out and said they absolutely want to continue to the deal. They feel like the deal is obviously to the benefit of their shareholders. And they've also said that if he walks from the deal, they will absolutely make sure that he is responsible for the breakup fee, which I've been reading is like $1 billion. So, I think there's a lot of confusion here, but like you mentioned before, I think it's also, I think, Vicky has said this on, she's sharing comments as well. A lot of drama in Twitter land. I think we would all agree, right? We probably don't need more drama, but there's the Johnny Depp trial still going. We got enough drama there. We got enough drama with the, with what's happening in Ukraine. We probably want some peace and quiet at some point, but right now it doesn't seem to be the case. But you're right. I mean, I think we see a lot of interest on Twitter for more transparency. People are saying like they want to make sure that more people have a voice, and even opposing, comments. I've even been seeing it's unfortunately gone to be a much bigger thing than a typical financial transaction of one company or one individual buying one company. It's gone so much beyond that. So don't know how you feel about it. I'm so glad that Greg could share his comments on that. For those of you who are joining us, really curious to see how you feel about sort of these things that we talked about. Number one, have you been paying attention to what's happening in the financial markets? Have you been feeling like inflation is causing you not to be able to sort of have those discretionary purchases, maybe make that vacation that you want to make, but maybe it's just too expensive? And of course, what do you think about this Twitter deal? Do you think the deal will continue, or do you think this is going to fizzle out? Because I will say, I'm sure you've seen this too, Greg. We've seen a lot of Twitter employees, right? They're saying right now, it's interesting. This is like really drama. I read this. I'm sure you saw this too. Is like, I guess there's been a lot of reporters trying to go undercover, trying to get Twitter employees to say Twitter truths or something like that, or things that are happening within the company and sharing and tagging. It's a little nuts.
It is. I mean, I think you kind of hit it on the head there too. Like, this is such a public thing that's going on too. I mean, you have the richest man in the world and one of the biggest social media platforms. So it's all publicly happening. I'm sure that there's all that stuff that's going on behind the scenes too, but we're seeing it a lot more than you would a regular company, just buying a regular business transaction, of something, say it's a software company that nobody really knows what goes on there. Like, this is something that's right out in front of us, and he's posting these things, like blatantly posting these things on top of it. So it is a lot of drama. That is the right way to describe it. Definitely a lot of drama going on with Twitter right now. And since we do have the comments coming in, whatever people think about that too, there are a lot of people that think Elon Musk can do some really good things for Twitter. And certainly there's some changes that could be made and it can evolve. Some of the ways that he's proposing, I don't know if everybody's in favor of, but maybe people are. Maybe people are in favor. Regardless, if he gets it, it's going to be his platform to do with what he wants. So that's kind of the bottom line on that one. So, yeah,
very dramatic, right? So
very dramatic.
I mean, I feel like, Greg, you got to tell us what else is going on in tech, because this is what I've got in the financial news today.
I've got some things that are a little bit less, dramatic. So we'll
Dramatic.
go with these. So
Yes.
we'll take away some drama right now. So I have this. I've got a new product release, a new thing to talk about with
Cool.
that. So I wanted to bring that up. We haven't had a whole lot of new products recently, but we do have this coming out from Asus of all companies, and they have a new kind of monitor and a laptop that goes with it. It's adding on to some technology they already had, and it's called Spatial. It's from their Spatial Labs, excuse me. So you have the Spatial Labs View and the Spatial Labs View Pro, and these are essentially 3D monitors and laptops that don't require any glasses and nothing like that. You can just sit there, look at them, and you instantly get 3D. They've used this technology a little bit before, but now they're really highlighting two different aspects. One being the gaming side of things. So they have Spatial Labs True Game, which is going to target games that are actually already out there. Because you have so much information that's involved in those games, you can now turn them 3D and get a whole new playing experience, which is pretty cool as far as I'm concerned. Like that's a whole new way to look at things, and they're using that tech, and you just have it right there. That seems pretty fun. I'm sure there's a lot of gamers that will want to try this out. Yeah, so you're kind of seeing there a couple of the different monitors, what you can do. So that's pretty cool. So that's one of the new things. It's using stereoscopic 3D. So that's how that works. It's different refresh rates and different ways that it hits your eye. But that's the bottom line, is they can turn these games into 3D, a whole bunch of them. So you've got that. And then they've also got another one that's targeting more of the commercial side, say a store for displays. And I think the demonstration there, yeah, they've got a shoe kind of showing that demonstration. But this would be something that you would see in an actual store when you go in. They have different ways to showcase that, or maybe an art studio. You know, you can think of all kinds of different ways that you could use this, but that's what they're targeting with that. These two different things. So gaming and kind of the commercial side, that Spatial Labs View Pro. And yeah, those are two of their new monitors. They announced that they've got some laptops too that are going to be using this tech, but really interested to see what people think about that. I always love this kind of thing, whether it's something a lot of people are going to get or not. That remains to be seen. I mean, I think we all remember, or maybe you don't remember, 3D televisions, when that was for a brief moment there. That was going to be the latest and the newest and the biggest thing. Kind of fizzled out. People didn't end up wanting that as much. So we'll see if these go that same way. But I think with these different applications, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool tech. You know, it's at least fun to think about and to try that out, especially with the gaming side of things.
Absolutely.
Like
from
that.
the game. Yeah. And Greg, I love that. I'm so glad that you shared this thank you so much for doing that. I mean, absolutely. From a gaming standpoint, what's really interesting me watching this, learning this from you, is I look at everything from a financial standpoint. So I'm looking at this thinking, okay, I want to see what the price point on that is, right? See how much it's going to cost, and more importantly, if the price point is still too high, that's one thing. If it's competitive, then it makes you think, okay, well, that's important to recognize, right? Because if it's getting more competitive, I probably don't want to invest in a standard monitor anytime soon. And maybe if I'm buying another TV, I might just hold off a little bit if I know that this technology is upcoming, right? And maybe games are going to be, this could be impactful if you see someone like Sony or Nintendo really embrace this sort of new style gaming. But it's super cool. We're getting a lot of traction online. We see John Lim, my very good friend John Lim on Facebook Live, is saying very, very cool. Richetti is enjoying nice tech. Vicky, 3D gaming. Absolutely, Greg. I think whenever you see this, I think you want to really think about your personal financial decisions long term. If you're going to be adding sort of tech, what this would, if it would impact your future decision. Now with inflation, we got to think about things like this.
Yeah, I think from that aspect, there's a lot of really great monitors out there. So unless you really need 3D technology, probably nobody needs this.
Yep.
But nice if you want this, if you want to use it, and who knows, like you said, if other companies start getting involved too and use this kind of thing, or especially software and designers, start utilizing it a little bit more. We'll see if it takes off. Definitely you could see this expand a lot. And I was just getting up the price on it. So it starts off $1,099 for the Spatial Labs View, and that one they said will support more than 50 games. Will support that display.
See, $1,099 now. See, that's interesting, Greg. That $1,099. That's of course higher than your typical monitor, but it's now at a price point where those people who are at the nice to have can afford this, which means that it will start to trickle down into more mainstream. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, if enough people starts buying it, and this is a relatively new lab that they have, so this technology is kind of still in the beginning, but to already be to this point, I think if you see enough people buy it, that's what always happens. Yeah, the price will go down. You'll see more people get into it. Other monitor manufacturers will start wanting to do this as well, and there's some other things like this out there, but this is a pretty cool one, at least in the concept and the idea. I think most people would agree that's pretty neat. Is it something you need? That's where it's really going to come down to. Maybe you don't need it, but if you're already buying something and it's a little bit more and you get to add that on, then maybe that's where people kind of go with that. But yeah, that's part of their announcement. They've got a bunch of new things coming out, but those were the kind of the highlight that I wanted to showcase that was kind of cool. I've got a couple other things here too. Some other just cool tech to think about and talk about. It's stuff that not as much drama as we said. So let's switch to AI and autonomous cars, which we're used to. This is talking about an autonomous ship, a shipping vessel. So this is something that happened from this company, Orca AI. They partnered with a Japanese shipping company, and they took this ship 500 miles, took about 40 hours to actually navigate the bay in Tokyo, which is one of the most crowded places on Earth. And this footage, just of note, this footage is going through the Panama Canal. They haven't released the Tokyo footage, but it just still gets the idea of what's going on here. So they've got this set up with cameras all around this ship, 360 degrees. So it's monitoring everything around it. It's sending real-time data, night or day. It's monitoring every single thing that a ship should be monitoring, and it's avoiding collisions. That's the thing that they're talking about the most. The biggest thing here is because there's so many accidents that happen in these busy, shipping ports all over the world, that I think they avoided in the 500-mile trip, it avoided 107 kind of crucial collisions that could have happened. And they had a person monitoring it, but otherwise it was all AI that did this, all AI running this ship, which is pretty phenomenal on what they've been able to do with it. And they've done a couple of tests before, the Aegean Sea, the Panama Canal, but this Tokyo one was really kind of the big highlight that they had. And I don't know, it's an interesting thing to think about, like a giant ship like that having nobody in charge of it. But would that be beneficial? I think
self-driving boat.
Right? Yeah, it's completely driving it. Yeah, thermal imaging. It's got all the things you would possibly want, and it's doing it completely on its own. Yeah, improving visibility.
It's like a Tesla that was supposed to drive itself, but it actually avoided collisions. I mean,
only 1,000 times bigger.
1,000 times bigger. That's pretty cool, though, right? I mean,
yeah,
I do think I could see this application being implemented on things such as cruise ships for sure, right? So you could still have your captain, but this could be like another layer of security.
Yeah, that's certainly. I mean, and there are some autonomous and AI features that are incorporated in ships now, but this would be kind of, it drives itself. It goes where it's supposed to go and avoids things. And, in addition to the safety aspect, another thing to think about is efficiency. Is if you have every ship using this, then they can talk to each other. They can avoid different collisions. They can kind of go different places and really manage that better. So get the shipping lanes moving faster. I think we're all familiar with delays in shipping at this point since over the last couple of years, problems with supply lines. Maybe this is a way that in the future they could help mitigate some of that by having the ships talk to each other and making it quicker to get there to unload. You add in maybe AI or robots unloading things. That could be another way to make things go a little bit smoother and faster. But this is a cool demonstration that they had for sure. So it's this company Orca AI, and that's what they were doing with it. I love seeing the comments come in too. People, whatever you think about this, let me know how you feel about it. It will not work at the Istanbul Straits. Still need the guide. Yeah. That's thanks to the. That's 100% true. There's a lot of this where it wouldn't work, but they wanted to test it out, the Tokyo one, just because of how crowded it is. They wanted to showcase that it could work in that. So that's, I think we're a long ways away before every ship is going to be using this. But as of right now, kind of a cool demonstration to see where it could go. Superman 3 predicted this, John said. I have to go back and watch Superman 3. I don't remember that one as well. They had autonomous ships in Superman 3. That's awesome.
You know what? If John Lennon says it, it's got to be true. Let me just tell you.
I believe it.
I've known John for quite a long time. That guy is solid.
I'm not doubting his Superman 3 facts. Your Superman 3 knowledge, I bow down. Like AI technology, I use it a lot. Yeah. Yeah. So seeing it incorporated in and just how artificial intelligence and autonomous things are working, that's the one I wanted to showcase there. I have one other thing that has to do with artificial intelligence, and this is switching gears, but another use case, and this comes from Google, and it is a way to practice interviewing for a job using AI. So here's what it is. This is targeted right now for people who are applying for Google certificates, which means they're a program where you become certified in a certain aspect of the many, many different things that Google does. And then that way you can go out and get a job. You use that as your specialty. So this is to help these people out, Google career certificates. That's what they're called. This is to help practice for the interviews. And I went through and did this. There's a site you can go to and where it asks you certain questions. You enable it to allow your voice and you answer them as you would answer a normal interview question. And you do that for about 5 different questions. Sometimes they vary. And then it'll analyze your answers and tell you what you're saying maybe too much, or are these things that people are looking for? Did you answer the question? In a way, it gives you different suggestions to help change up how you're answering it and get used to it before you go in or go online for that interview. I mean, it's kind of cool, actually. I think it's a really good practice no matter what, because I was trying it even, I'm not interviewing for a job, but I just wanted to practice it just to see what that was like. And I think it could be really helpful, even if you're just, getting back into the game and want to see, how you would work this. So there it is. Yeah. Can you please tell me a bit about yourself? And you answer the question, and then you go through this, and then it'll tell you all about how some of the different things that you answered and how that worked out. What do you think about this, Winnie? Using AI for practicing interviews? Yeah, CrossX Spider, to answer your question, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Well, Greg, to answer your question, I think I kind of love it, and I kind of think it has room to grow, right? I love it because I think there's a lot of people who are looking to level up to that next job, and want to, sometimes that interview process can be intimidating, and we know that not everybody's comfortable improving and talking on the fly smoothly and coherently. So I think it's a great tool for those who just want to get better at that. But one of the things I'm concerned about as an employer who does hire people is that I don't want everybody answering the same way, right? Or being so scared. I still want that authenticity of the true organic self. So I think it just gives people an opportunity to go from there and then build from those skills. But I think this application could be really helpful, not only for job searches, but for applying for college, or, for those who are nervous about speaking on stage, or, who are stage fright. Just gives you someone to talk to and maybe clean up how you're saying certain things. So I think it can be a really powerful tool.
Yeah, I think you're right. The combination of both is so necessary to be authentic. And, a normal person makes mistakes. You're not perfect every time that you're going to answer something, and that's fine. So using it to maybe see if you're saying the same thing too many times over and over, like refine that a little bit or change up what you're talking about, or maybe your speaking pattern a little bit. That could be beneficial for sure. But yeah, practicing with a normal person or interviewing with a real person is also important. And you're seeing this too. I mean, you talking about actually hiring, there's also being applications now where people are using artificial intelligence as the person who's doing the interview, who's hiring someone. And that I kind of feel, I don't know how I would feel if I went to a company and they're like, yeah, we don't have time for you to talk to a real person, but talk to this AI for a bit. And then we'll see if we have time for you. That to me feels a little cold.
Well, it is cold, but I mean,
or does it help out? Maybe there's a use case.
I gotta say, we posted several positions available, and sometimes literally I'll get 800 resumes within a couple of days, and it takes a lot of time to filter through all that, right? So I don't know, maybe it'll give someone who maybe doesn't show as well on the resume, but who could provide a lot of value in other ways. Maybe it'll give them a chance to really step up. And I think if that's the case, it could actually help certain candidates, which, I don't know, Greg, there's a lot of talk nowadays about underserved communities, right? And communities that just, don't have the opportunities that some of the wealthier communities do have. And I think if this would give other communities that same ability to compete, right? Maybe vocally, on top of everything else, I think that could be a good thing too.
Yeah. I mean, it probably depends a lot, just how it's applied. how it's being used. And you're right. If you have that many candidates coming in, this could be a great way to kind of whittle that down a little bit and help out everybody. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. Right now, though, this is up for everybody to use if you want to practice and just see what it's like. You know, I suggest just trying it just to see how that tech works and what it is that it's analyzing. And these things will always get better and better as they go through. But that's the one thing that they came up with, especially if you're getting Google Career Certified. This is specifically for that right now. But yeah, that's but the interview questions are pretty general. So that's kind of some of the stuff that I wanted to showcase, just some of the cool tech that I've seen this week so far. And as always, you know, there's more and more stuff coming out and more things to talk about always. But yeah, that's what I wanted to highlight here this week. And so appreciate seeing all these comments. Yeah, Vicky says she's going to give it a go. Yeah, give it a practice, you know, just see what it does. And then at least you're familiar with what that does, whether you like it or don't like it. Trying it out. So
I know. I think LinkedIn is probably very interested in this if they haven't already started working on their own tool. This seems like a natural fit. I feel like Google and LinkedIn should be talking about this. This could be a really good fit here.
LinkedIn does seem like a great platform for that, for sure.
And, you know, so I'm so glad, Greg, that you mentioned this. We got some amazing comments coming in. And I know, you know, you and I were just talking about how a lot of people have been messaging us, reaching out to us with different things to showcase and comments and suggestions. And we love it. We love that there's been so much love towards the show. Well, one thing that, Greg, we may want to talk about too is we've had a lot of people reach out and said that what they want to be on the show, right? They want to be a guest on the show and they want to share their insight. And I thought I would take a moment, Greg, if it's okay, to talk about sort of the, you know, the guests that we're looking for, not just us, because we actually have a booking producer that handle and a team that handles all that for us. But if you're interested in being here with Greg and I, and maybe you have something to share in terms of new technology or something that, you know, that cultural events that we should be paying attention to, do know that what we're really looking for is someone who's an expert in their space, right? A leader in their space, really somebody very, very credible, and has a lot of experience, maybe an author or, you know, just someone really impactful in their industry, doing good things, positive things. The other thing we're looking for is, of course, someone who is going to be able to bring value to our audience, who has had a lot of experience speaking on camera, talking about their expertise and their specialty. And we feel like it's a good fit for our audience, and that might be something that our team would consider. So if you're interested in that, do reach out to Greg or I. You can reach us at any of our platforms. Direct message us, but please send us, of course, biography, right? Credibility, and also send us clips of examples of the guests being on camera. We'll get that to our booking team and let them filter through that. And then if they're interested, they'll be reaching out to you. We don't do that. We're glad we don't have to do that. But you know, a lot of people, I know we've been getting lots of interest. And so we're very grateful that, you know, everybody wants on the show, but we're really making sure that the guest brings value to our audience. Greg and I are real passionate about that.
Absolutely. Yep. Everything Winnie just said, you nailed it. That's exactly it. So yeah, feel free to reach out anytime to, you know, direct message for any of that, you know, if you're interested. And yeah, looking forward to seeing who's out there and who the experts are and who wants to come on the show and
new
join.
Tech, new gadgets that you know, Greg, you want Greg to take a look at. Those are some things that I know, Greg, we've always like really enjoy doing those things.
Yeah, please do. And also for anybody too, you know, you have any questions, I always want to reiterate that. Questions, comments, whatever it is, reach out. We're always available and we'll answer. And yeah, just thanks to everybody who is doing that. It's always a lot of fun hearing from people and seeing everybody on here live too, commenting. Like, thank you so much. You know, whether you're commenting or not, thanks for watching. Just joining the show and sharing it, letting other people know about it. Whenever you're watching on whatever platform you're watching, thanks for watching. That's the main thing, because we have so much fun doing this show, and it's all because we get to share this with you and we get to be here with everybody, and it's just awesome. Oh, thanks, Vicky. Thanks, CrossX Fighter. Yeah, seeing the comments right there. That's fantastic.
Thank you. That's why we do what we do. Friends coming together, friends spending some time together. Thank you so much, Greg. I learned so much. I wrote a whole bunch of things. I'm definitely going to check all this out. And thank you, our friends, for being here. And I guess we'll see you very, very soon.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye.